This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 12th of April, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines. The Standard. My 2 billion shillings not fake. Give it back.
Wow.
The Star. UHURU Ruto camps fight to steer Jubilee. And Daily Nation. Crisis in Jubilee as factions pull apart.
Interesting.
I think we start with the Daily Nation and the Star. Crisis in Jubilee. I feel like we're just flipping over yesterday.
Exactly, yeah. So this past week, the narrative has been the crisis in
Jubilee,
ODM and now crisis in Jubilee. So we've gone the extreme, yeah.
But I've got words of advice for William Ruto.
Unsolicited advice.
Unsolicited. And they say if giving unsolicited advice is rude, but I'll give it anyway.
Like that ever stopped you before?
You see, the first rule of the book 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene is never outshine your master, right?
Very true.
Word of advice for William Ruto: stand down, yield to state aggression, all right? What that will do is that you will gain some form of public sympathy. But now you are going rogue.
What I'd like to say is this. The day before yesterday, the Deputy President had an interview. In that interview, he yielded to state authority. He said that he had a coalition before, now he's in a party. And in this party, you listen to what your Lord and Master says. And you let him make the determination of whether you will have a handshake. And the Lord and Master did have a handshake. But then ODM came out and said other things. But also another statement was made. So I don't think, and I'd like to say that in politics, a rumor is not true until it is officially denied. Now, ODM said that their candidate for Wajir stepped down because, and I think this is the basis of this whole argument. You know, if we're to be honest, and we stop this business as Kenyans of living pink elephants dancing in the room while we're addressing everything except the problem. So Wajir MP for ODM, the candidate, the aspirant for ODM, is said to have pulled out of the race after high-level talks between Jubilee officials, and that was ODM's statement before, and because they were doing a good turn that deserves another. Jubilee stepped down in Embakasi and Uganda, therefore they stepped down.
You guys
but pictures came out of said candidate at the DP's house, in which he is said to have defected to Jubilee.
He said it himself.
Now, in politics, Jubilee officially denied that rumor, thereby confirming it, my opinion.
I totally agree.
So I don't know if you should stand down, or maybe that was the intention.
No, I mean,
I think a little bit of competition, a little bit of aggression is a good thing. So this pretending to be nice, that you stood down for me, so now I stand down for you. In my opinion, I think it's rubbish.
But let me tell you, I have nothing. I feel nothing if William Ruto went and stole another candidate from RAILA, and I said it. He should do more. He should go and steal as many as he can. But this is my point.
Oh my gosh. Comments from the floor. Apparently you're saying is a thief.
Whatever. But William Ruto should not go against Uhuru Kenyatta, right? He has his boss. He is a deputy party leader of Jubilee. He is deputy president of Kenya. And there are 3 more years. I think if he follows Uhuru Kenyatta to the last end, people will still support him.
Okay, let me bring us back to our headlines. We have a 3-part criteria that we need to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Are these headlines, and let's look at them together since they both say a similar thing, which of them is better? Then we can have that against the standard. Which of these headlines is topical? Which of these headlines is speculative? Which of these headlines is groundbreaking? Which of these headlines is repetitive? Which of these headlines is thoughtful? And which of them is just plain lazy?
I have a reason using a criteria. Why this could be thoughtful.
Which one?
The Daily Nation. You see, guys, if we were in a parliamentary system, all right? My suspicion is Uhuru Kenyatta would be deposed as Prime Minister by now. And that is because in a parliamentary system, it is party formations.
You exist because Parliament has said that you exist.
Fantastic. Now, if there is a rebellion or there's a rebel faction within Jubilee, nothing stops them from joining with another faction of another party in Parliament to depose Uhuru Kenyatta. And you see, in Australia, for example, you've had over 7 to 8 prime ministers within 10 years.
Yeah.
It can happen here.
So what do we say about these headlines, regardless of our speculative agenda to have ourselves changing leaders every so often, like outfits?
I feel that it is still repetitive, even though the word has changed from ODM to Jubilee.
Then we toss it. So are we saying the Star has a better headline?
No.
Okay.
We toss.
My 2 billion, not fake. Give it back. I
I'm
love this
so
headline.
excited that we finally have information on this story. There was so much mystery surrounding it, and now we have a name. We have more facts. Now the guy has said that his money was real.
You know, guys, I have 2 things to say on this as well.
Story. What?
Yeah. First thing.
You came to take
talk.
names.
Yes. Eric Adede, the man accused of having 20 million US in a safe deposit box at Barclays Bank, Queensway branch, has said that his 2 billion shillings equivalent is not fake.
It's his hard-earned money,
It is
and
real.
in fact, he's fearful
Yes.
that the police are taking it and are going to swap it out for fake currency, thereby robbing him of his money.
It's a
And you know
legitimate
what?
worry.
I actually sort of believe him.
Yeah.
Not because our policemen are saints. You
Actually,
see-
there's no policemen that are saints. Even in America, if you want to say that that's what you aspire to, theft from evidence lockers is all around.
Yeah.
But what he's done is he's put a case in the court of public opinion, and they are trying DCI with a charge of, is it?
Theft.
It is theft of
Today
his money.
he's refusing to
and
say it.
then-
He's skirting around this issue, yet he's keeping on hinting at it.
I'm being very careful with my words as
All
well.
right.
Right? Replacing real money with fake money, and then putting it out there that they could have stolen the real money.
Okay.
But
I
can
mean,
we agree?
besides apart from the story, I'm very impressed with this new turn that the Standard is taking.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
that's
who the
true.
new editor is, but I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. But then again, how would you even determine within a couple of hours 2 billion shillings is fake? And who gave? If both of you had safe deposit bank boxes in a bank, would you be safe, or do you feel safe enough knowing that policemen are going checking every?
Not at all. No.
I wouldn't.
They would
feel
need a
safe
warrant.
at all.
Okay, what do we think about the headline?
I like it. I
like the headline.
think it's a winning
Yep,
headline
I think it's
today.
a great story. I agree, it's a winning headline.
I love it.
So can we agree the Standard gives us our winning headline today?
Yes,
Yes.
winning headline.
Okay.
I think that is the 3rd day in a row that the Standard
Oh
has.
yeah, that is true. Something to note.
Yeah.
Yes.
On to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions.
Yes.
Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy?
Yes.
Let me bring back the papers.
I want
And
us to start with the nation.
Yes, we
Right,
should
the nation.
definitely
Today is
start
an
with
interesting
the
day.
nation.
Yeah.
One, the nation has chosen to put a cartoon on their front cover.
Yes.
But they've actually decided to give us 2 cartoons today from
Yes.
Victor.
Yeah.
And I actually like them both.
I like them both as well.
I do like them both. However, because it is a day in which we discuss the South Sudanese coup, we will. Oh yes, Sudan, not South Sudan.
Yeah, Sudan.
I get corrected.
Yeah.
For South Sudan, I will note that the Pope kissed their feet. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about them.
It's possible.
He kissed Riek Machar and
Yeah, the
Salva
feet of lots
Kiir's
of leaders.
feet. So I think I'm thinking about them as I contrast the Pope is kissing your feet versus you
The
are being
ousting of a
ousted
leader.
from power in a funny way by
So
your
let's
friends.
start with the cartoon on
So
the inside.
the cartoon on the inside. It has Sonko one-man symphony
I love
running
it.
the city by himself, and it is hilarious.
The cartoon is fantastic.
You know-
So we have Sonko playing the cello,
Yeah.
Sonko playing the piano, Sonko playing the
Violin.
violin, Sonko playing the drums, Sonko the conductor.
I love it. I love it. And the thing I love most about it is
Yeah.
that it's alluding to his incompetence. I mean, just look at the cello. He's got his legs wrapped up around
God,
it.
this guy's
The
a mess.
piano, he's holding the black keys like the
Yeah.
whole thing. This is how we play it. And I'm thinking he's about to swallow that
I think
conductor's
Ndola
stick.
is depicting the Hustler Nation. Have you ever seen them playing violin?
No comment. But I think this
I
cartoon
think
is
it's a
fantastic.
hilarious
Running the
cartoon.
city all by himself. And it alludes to a couple of things. One, Sonko has failed to appoint a deputy governor of Nairobi. And two, there was a meeting that was had with...
The Senate tried to call him
Yes.
to answer as to why he has not had a deputy put in place. And he
skipped the
snubbed
meeting.
them.
Yeah,
but
and-
Sonko, go on with what you're doing. Fantastic. You're Machiavellian. If I were you, I would do the exact same thing. No deputy, even your ministers, you just need 3. Run Nairobi like that.
All right.
Dishing it out and taking
So now I
names.
think we move to the
I think we move
cartoon.
to the cartoons, and I'd like us to look at all 3 of them together because
Right.
it is Sudan, Bashir on
Yeah.
all
All of them.
fronts.
Yes.
So if we look at the one on the Daily Nation to start with, what do we have here?
Is a depiction. I can read that.
Yep.
Yes, you
See,
can.
it's the one on the front page, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Is depiction of 3 deposed leaders. Actually 4. Right?
Yes, yeah.
Former Gambian President Yahya Jammeh, former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, former Algerian President Abdulaziz Bouteflika,
Falling like dominoes.
and lastly, Omar al-Bashir, former President of Sudan. Now, something is also telling me, guys, that the military coups happening in Africa have been sort of accepted. There is some acceptance.
Well, they're
Right.
not as
Okay.
I mean, you have
bad
Zimbabwe.
or faux as we thought they would be.
Yeah, I mean,
In back in fashion.
if this thing happened 10 years ago, the West and the international community would be coming in with their boats and all manner of things, right? But you see, there's a solution for this, it seems. And Prof calls this the crawling out option.
Yes.
Now, crawling out option is you're given safe passage if you're a deposed leader to another country so that you go into exile. And the 3 leaders who have been depicted here by Ndula, that is Yahya Jammeh, who's gone to Equatorial Guinea, Mugabe went back to his house. Abdulaziz, I don't know whether he went to hospital.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
All right,
sorry.
make your point. What's your point?
I think they're giving Omar al-Bashir a
way
crawling
out.
out option.
Yeah.
And
And
possibly
can
could be in
we
Kenya.
hint at, you said possibly it could be in Kenya, but what's making you think that?
Because there's someone in this country who's sympathetic to his plight.
My goodness. And today with the skirting around the
Just see,
issues.
the president
Because-
said what he said.
I don't want to quote the president because I did not see him saying it. But I feel that, because of the ICC thing and everything, I feel that should things continue progress, Omar al-Bashir will be given safe passage
Into Kenya.
and there will be a crawling out option for him and he will come to Kenya.
What Turam
into
is
exile.
failing to say is that apparently, we can say apparently,
Yeah, you can
the
say
president has said that should it continue the way it is going,
Yes.
that he would want to give
Yeah.
al-Bashir
Safe
safe passage into Kenya.
that. Yeah,
Can we
yeah.
can we actually say what he did say? He did allude to the fact that he did not like the trajectory or the plans that the military takeovers that have been happening in the region.
Yeah.
The fact that he would give him safe passage is our
Yes,
reading
yes.
into
Into the-
his
yes,
statement.
into what he said,
I
that's
sort of
still-
agree
Yeah.
with you now.
Yeah, it's us reading into the statement. What he actually said
Yeah,
is that he
absolutely. I
supports
understood
Bashir.
All right, next cartoon.
So can we look at these 2?
Yeah.
Before you put it away, I think it goes
Yeah,
in the
no,
pattern
yeah, let's
way.
look at the next one.
Yeah.
The next one and the next one.
Next one
Who do you
is
want to- let's start with Gado.
Gado. And guys, Gado is very clever. You see, what happened in Iraq when Saddam Hussein was deposed, they went to his statue and they got away, they got his
They took the
his
statue
head,
down and the people kept the head.
kept the head, right? And the head was being tossed by the crowd.
And this is what he's depicting in this cartoon.
Yes.
The head of Bashir
Yes.
and a military person
Yes.
with no head
With no head.
declaring
Absolutely.
that the military council has taken over. We declare state of emergency.
Absolutely. But then he's very cynical, probably even sarcastic. He says, the military council has taken over, we declare state
Miss
of
K
emergency.
just read that.
Yeah, no. I know she read that, but there's a point where I'm going. Where the reason he's saying that is because the man with the military head was al-Bashir.
Okay.
So
But
how
without
can
him, no one is saying. And it's true, the articles do say that, although they say the military council has taken it, but they don't say who is de facto
president. Yeah. All right. So what about the star, since we're looking at them together?
I like this one, I have to say. I do like that it's an hourglass, it's Bashir, and he is crumbling. He is the sands himself. So he's getting, there's an allusion to the sands of time, the change that is coming. There's an allusion to his end and demise because it's only a little bit of his head that's left.
I think this is a very effective cartoon.
I do.
And like effective in its simplicity.
I do. And for once we don't have his signature wording, if I could call it that, because I think the cartoons we have seen from Ozone in the past have had a statement that explains the cartoon. So I think for this one, it just speaks for itself. And if I was to pick a hierarchy, I would say this is our last cartoon.
Yeah, I would say Standard in third place, Daily Nation second, and Winning cartoon.
I agree.
Fully agree.
I do agree.
Yes.
So that means we can toss.
And toss. And the star Ozone gives us our winning cartoon. Do we have a final thought?
Always.
And today I'm telling you, Kim taking names, I was even hesitant to ask. I knew you had one.
All right.
You know, guys, before I say anything, and now, our final thought.
All right.
I had
Go for it.
a thought earlier on.
Yes, give us your thought.
Do you guys think that the Sudan coup, the Sudan revolution, will spill over into East Africa? Kenya and Uganda specifically.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
I don't think it's that loaded. I mean, if I was to go back to Victor Ndula's cartoon, he asks something. We didn't say what was on the caption, and the caption was, what writing on the wall? I mean, like Bashir was rejecting something that should have been quite obvious to him. And I say that, and I would say that that question and this question is inspired by a book that we've read.
Why nations fail.
And no one should read, but we discovered this after we read the book. And it's Why Nations Fail. And in that book, there's two major theories. The first explains the drivers of democratic and dictatorial regimes. And then the second theory explains or shows how democratic regimes promote economic growth, while dictatorial regimes prevent economic growth. And of course, this does not look into account any places where you've had a strong man, but had good and positive economic growth, like maybe Singapore, where you had Lee Kuan Yew for 30 years. But you know what? The country progressed significantly.
So the reason why I said that your statement or question was loaded is because I don't know if Kenya has the prerequisites as seen in the countries depicted in Dula's cartoon, right? Those are countries, as you said,
is on the wall.
Those are dictatorships. I do not think that Kenya qualifies to be called, you know, a country led by a dictator.
But what does it take then to cause a revolution then? Is it because people have stayed in power for so long?
No, and that's a good question. And I think that can be answered by looking at another book that we recommend you should read called True Believer, which looks at the nature of mass movements and how they arise. And so a lot of the time they say that they begin with a widespread desire for change that is spurred by a discontent amongst the people. So if you look at Sudan, the price of bread
skyrockets.
Exactly.
It's personal.
Exactly.
It's
It's a personal thing that is impacting the people. So there's a few steps that they say spur this, this mass movement thing.
Revolution.
So the first thing, it starts with a man of words or a fault-finding intellectual. So this is journalists, the clergy. So these are people like Lenin, like Gandhi. These are men who inspire the people with their writings, with their thinkings.
And are very eloquent in how they present that argument.
Right?
So you resonate with it, you feel it.
Exactly.
Do you know?
So now, let me finish my steps.
Okay, go
so
ahead.
Then so they take fault with the established social order, right? Then that is taken up by a fanatic. So now this fanatic the fanatic takes advantage of the frustrated people. So there's somebody like Hitler, right? So they take advantage of it and they turn it into, they take this mass movement and they turn it into something violent, right? But that person can only last for so long, because finally the final step is a practical man of action. This man takes those issues that the people have, taken issue with,
and the fanaticism that has been riled up in the people,
and they turn it into a social order. They turn it into an institution. They legitimize those issues. So I don't know if we're at that stage just yet.
I'm even waiting for the man of words. Let someone articulate what the problem actually is.
I have a crazy thought. Prof says that constitutions are made in times of crisis. If there is no crisis, they will precipitate a crisis. Now, I feel there's someone within the handshake who will precipitate one, because he knows a referendum will not just come, and that crisis will be what we are seeing in Sudan. You'll have people getting on the streets because of corruption, poor economic times, and who knows, even insecurity. There are 2 Cuban doctors who've just been abducted. Who knows if there's a spiral effect? Now, if that happens...
Oh yes, crazy. You're right, that statement.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I know it is crazy.
Yeah.
But what if that is a plan?
Wow.
I don't know.
All right.
But we can agree that it is a good final thought and something for you to ponder on.
Yes.
This weekend, as the Standard gave us our winning headline and the Star gave us our winning cartoon. This is Winning Headlines. Have a great weekend. See you next week.